who do you guys have for your Mount Rushmore of the 2000s for the 49ers? I think this one might have been a little tougher for us.
Yeah, this one was tough. So just to be clear, it's from 2000 through today is what we did. We didn't do just the 2000s and then move on from 2010. By the way, if you want to do just the 2000s, good luck. That's extremely hard to do. But that being said, 2000 through today, I've got Joe Staley. I mean, the anchor to the left side of that line for so many years definitely has to be on there. Frank Gore. I mean, need I say any more? Guy is an absolute beast. Arguably the best running back in our franchise's history. I say arguably. It is debatable. Patrick Willis, I mean, outside of Ray Lewis, maybe the best linebacker of all time. And Jim Harbaugh. I mean, before Harbaugh got here, this team was not looking good. And they were on a tailspin that I didn't know if they would ever get out of, it felt like. So when Jim Harbaugh took over the team, it was a whole different ball game. From taking Alex Smith and letting him gain his confidence to getting us to 3 straight NFC title games, once to a Super Bowl, the culture was completely changed. So I have to give him his credit.
Yeah, I went with a pretty similar list, and to start, I think I got to go with the guy who's been really responsible for the 49ers, who's Jed York. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I just had to throw that out there for everyone for a second to mess around. No, you know what? My list is pretty similar to yours, Jesse. I'm just gonna hit the highlights real quick. Frank Gore, of course. I mean, you mentioned that greatest running back franchise history, most important player of the 2000s on, in my opinion, for this team, at least thus far. Hopefully that changes with Trey Lance. Then next, I'm going to go with Joe Staley too. I mean, like you said, Jesse, he's been anchoring this left side of the 49ers offensive line. I mean, really, I'm my entire life, my entire time watching football, he's been the most consistent thing that the 49ers have had. And just looking at what he did, all the injuries he battled through, even going to that 2019 season, really was heroic to me, seeing what he went through by the end of his career. Then I'm going to go with Patrick Willis. You mentioned, Jesse. I mean, one of the greatest linebackers of all time, certified Hall of Famer, no doubt. And then I'll go with Justin Smith. I saw Korean 49er put this list out there too. I gotta go with one of the Smith brothers, so that's where I'll end that list. But I'm curious, what do you think of Jack? I see you smiling.
Can I say something just real quick? I want to let you know that as I made this list, Smith was on there for a minute, Bowman was on there for a minute, and then they both ended up not being on there. So it was that close. There's a lot of guys you could choose from. If we could choose 5 guys like Jeremy's doing, I mean, not fair, buddy. What are you doing over there? There's only 4 people on Mount Rushmore. You don't get a 5th player. You're cheating. So who do you take off? Do you take off Navarro? Do you take off Harbaugh? Because I think we all have to agree that Gore, Staley, and Willis have got to be on there. So anyways, go ahead, Jack.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm the only one out here campaigning for Jed York also. I mean, come on. A legend with the 49ers, really responsible for everything that's happened so far.
Well, I think the 2000s, you've got to have Frank Gore's got to be on there. I mean, he was just an Iron Man throughout the 2000s, right? He started in, what was it, 05, and he was with the team through 14. I think it was 14 his last year. Mm-hmm. So about 9-10 years right there in the middle of the 2000s, and he's going to be one of the best of all time by the time. I think he's third in the all time right now in yards,
yeah.
Third or fourth.
Third all time, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and his numbers were just amazing. Especially in the beginning of his career. That year he had his second year season with the Niners was an all timer. So Frank Gore's got to be first, and then Patrick Willis. Those are the 2 easy ones, right? Patrick Willis he should be in the Hall of Fame here in the next couple of years, I think. Just an unbelievable linebacker, sideline to sideline, to make plays all over the field. So those are the top 2, and then from there it gets tricky. Because at one point I had Harbaugh on my list. I took him off. I actually put Justin Smith back on there as the guy. I know he played a long time with the Bengals, but his time in San Francisco was instrumental in the run that they put together from 2011 to 2013, that 3-year stretch. And I think if they had a decent head coach, they probably would have been in the playoffs in 9 and 10. I mean, they were a pretty good team both of those years, and they just couldn't win because their coaching was bad. And so I guess I should have put Jim Harbaugh on that list, right? But I but I didn't. I went with Joe Staley as my fourth because again, just a rock that was there for so long. So those are the four for me.
I think those three, Staley, Gore, and Willis, those are a lock. It's that fourth one is definitely questionable. I mean, from Bowman to Harbaugh to Smith, as you guys said, there's multiple guys. Vernon Davis comes to mind as a guy that you could possibly put on there. So yeah, there's a lot of guys.
No CJ Beathard or Trent Taylor love. I mean, come on, guys. I
Pettis.
feel like I'm on an island over here.
Well, I should go with Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy did lead the 49ers to the second Super Bowl that they lost in the 2000s. So Jimmy could have made that list. Just kind of looking over there to see what we have. The one thing that Navarro Bowman comes up. The reason that I didn't put Navarro Bowman on this list was his time was really short. He was there in 12 and 13. But in 13 he got hurt, and he didn't play at all in 14, right? So that's kind of why I didn't put him on there. His run was just too short for me to put on the Mount Rushmore list. So like Jeremy says here, our Mount Rushmore is bigger. It can hold an extra guy. I mean, didn't we just have a president a couple years ago that said there should be like 5 or 6? I think he wanted to have.